non-profit organization, and we try to enable European companies to use their technologies for the benefit of Europe and mankind. So, guided to our vision, technology obliges. We have three major goals. So, first goal is competitiveness, where we want to strengthen and promote European technologies and values. The second one is growth, when we want to access opportunities in Europe and emerging markets. And third one is sustainability, where we want to reach SDG goals through European technology. So we believe that through the technology we can reach those goals. So next slide, please. So this is our structure. So you see that we have like few alliances. I can say it's 16 alliances. So we have regional alliances, where we have people who are working in those regions like China, Africa, Latin America, Germany, Benelux, and Middle East. So we have people there who are working on those markets. We have impact alliances like Academy, SDG, Finance, Policy, Women in Tech, and Mine, which is climate action. And we have also tech alliances, where we are going more deep dive with those topics like smart cities, digital transformation, environment, where we are now today, advanced manufacturing, IoT, mobility, and energy. So those, in every of those sections, we have a person who is working in those fields. So as you see, those really different fields. And next, please. For our advocates, we are offering our toolbox with really different types of programs and projects. For example, my Climate Action Alliance, we are providing a climate action partnership project where we are trying to help companies to be closer to zero. We have also the tree planting project in Africa, so we are also helping companies on those fields. And we have a few different projects, like, for example, China Center projects, where we are providing free offices for companies who are joining the chamber. We have around 30 offices per year for companies for free for our advocates. So if you are interested in some projects, which projects we are providing and what kind of projects we are providing to our advocates, you can just reach Maria. She will tell you. She can give you all the information about this. So if you can go with the next slide, please. Yeah. So as I said, we are providing projects and programs, but we are also organizing a lot of events during the year. So we have over 300 events, like online events like this one today. So almost every day we have one event. Every section is preparing their own events. We have around 16 summits per year. So every section is also preparing a summit. Mine summit was last week, which is mine, I can say, climate action. And I know environment is preparing also their summit on June. Yes, Maria, as I know, as I know the plan. So it will be in June. So if you are interested to take a part in our summits, you can also reach Maria. She will give you all the informations about dates and topics. So every section, like as I said, energy, finance, China Alliance, and Environment Alliance, we are preparing the summits and expos. But also we are organizing live events. During the pandemic, it was impossible, but now I know that this year we are organizing summit in Brussels, as I know, with policymakers, CEOs of who are already in the chamber. So we are matching them. We are helping them to contact like policymakers from Brussels, so European Union, I can say. So next slide, please. Yeah, networking center. We are providing to our advocates a special platform for networking, where we are organizing all of the meetings. All of our advocates have their own company cards, so they can meet each other. They can search each other. Basically, we are providing over 6,000 contacts to our for our advocates, like contacts, company contacts. So they have huge base to network with companies who are in the chamber, but who are around the chamber. So it's a huge base to network. So next one, please. Yeah, so this is what I said just before. It's our, I can say it's a networking center or meeting center. So we are providing those, as I said, over 6,500 companies, like contacts for our like database for our advocates. And on our webpage, you can find also networking meetings, all the schedule. So you can find all the informations, which alliance have their own meetings, like board members meeting or networking meetings. So you can just join. Everyone can join. Everyone can attend. If you are interested in some topic, you can just click and register, and you can join and meet with us. Yes, next one. Yeah, and this is some kind of statement of from our reviews that you can check on LinkedIn also after our events. I can say we have really nice feedback after events, so people are very happy about the topic, and great speakers that we also have here today. And all those events we are trying to on all of those events, trying to invite specialists from the field that we are talking about. So it's always very interesting. And also, of course, after the events, we are organizing working groups, so then we can go deep dive with the topics. And I think it's very interesting to join those events with us. And next one. Yeah, so if you want to know more information about the chamber, about UTech, just visit our webpage, utech.org, or LinkedIn webpage. So you have all the information there. And yeah, so that's it from my side. Thank you very much. I hope you'll have great event today, and I wish you a great rest of the day with Maria and rest of the speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marcin. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Give me just 1 second, please. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for those sharing UTech we offer to our advocates. Now, I would like to introduce to all of you the great panelists that we're going to have today discussing about the Cleantech incubation, acceleration, and investment. I would like to invite each one of you to share your questions, your comments. You can do that since this moment. So just go to the public chat and write them everything that you would like to share with the panel. I will take those comments and questions and share them with the speakers at the end of the panel, okay? But please don't wait till the end of the event. You can start to do that right now. Today, we're honored with the presence of 4 great panelists, all of them experienced professionals with a great vision. First, I'd like to introduce you to our keynote speaker, who is Amélie Desrochers. She's a trained as economist, and she's a scale in an A-related tech startup in Montreal, which excited in 2007. Geeky and macro-minded, her fascination for building dynamic innovation ecosystems brought her to San Francisco, Toronto, Montreal, and now Rimouski, a coastal mid-sized city which is renowned for its worldwide expertise in ocean-related science and technology. holds a bachelor degree in applied economics from the HEC from Montreal and a master's in international economics from the University of Montreal. She worked as a diplomat for Canada's Global Affairs and the UK's Foreign and Commonwealth Office, where she mostly designed national campaigns and public policies related with innovation, entrepreneurship, and as well climate-related initiatives. She is currently developing the Blue Zone, an innovation campus dedicated to the blue economy in Quebec, but as well its marine accelerator, Flux. So Amelie, I will give you the microphone now so that you can start with the presentation. I will write as well. Okay. Please let me know if you can see the sharing screen option.
I don't see. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Great.
All right. Hi, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it is loading. Yes, we can see it now.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for the great opportunity. I'm happy to be here. So I'm coming from tech community, and I've worked mostly in AI and what I call typical tech sectors. For the past year, I've been working on the Blue Zone, and I'm discovering the blue economy every day. And I'm here to share my enthusiasm about this emerging sector. So basically, KPMG said it best. You can't go green without blue. We talk a lot about clean tech, and we're all excited about creating an impact. But I think often we forget the blue economy and protection of the ocean, which produces up to 80% of the oxygen we breathe. So it is a sector that's a bit more complex, and my role for the next few years is going to do a lot of education about what the blue economy is and why it's so promising from both an environmental standpoint, but also from a cash generation standpoint. So basically, the blue economy, we're using the World Bank definition, and it encompasses a broad array of sectors. And in terms of growth potential, if we look at just the algae market, for example, is supposed to reach $6 billion by 2026. The biotech market is supposed to reach $6 billion by 2030. And well, 90% of all of the goods that are shipped around the world are going through the oceans. We need to not to forget that 8 billion people are going to need proteins to be fed by 2030. And one of the most staggering stats is coming from the OCDE, that aquaculture, fisheries, marine technologies, and fishing and offshore wind combined have the potential to outgrow out of all of the other economic sectors by 2030. So I'm representing Canada, and I'm working closely with the Ocean Supercluster, which is funded by the federal government. Canada is in the top 10 in terms of ocean sustainability, protection, and engagement. What is a bit more concerning in terms of venture cap, Quebec the province of Quebec is able to attract close to $8 billion in venture cap. We have a really dynamic tech ecosystem in Montreal and across Canada, in Toronto and Vancouver. But these funds are not being redirected to our region. In Eastern Quebec, and none of them are dedicated to the blue economy. So that's what we need to change. So yes, we're committed to sustainability and protection of the ocean, but when we look at where we're ranking in terms of technological opportunities, we're falling a bit behind, which is kind of frustrating because our tech ecosystems in terms of blockchains and AI and other technologies are very robust and globally renowned, but we're not putting that technology and the talents that we've grown in Canada to actually accelerate and service blue tech and to a certain extent clean tech as well. So that's a conversation that we're having right now, and we're seeing that things are starting to change, but we need to accelerate that change. So what is the blue zone? These are the three pillars. I call it the triangle in Canada. If you want to understand the blue economy ecosystem, that's how it works. We have Cove in Halifax. Halifax is a bit further ahead, maybe a decade further ahead. The majority of its tech ecosystem is blue and dedicated to develop blue technologies, which is really exciting. And then we have on the other coast in British Columbia another campus that's emerging, that's called Coast. It's working with the University of British Columbia, and here in Quebec, we're working closely with the government to build what we call the Blue Zone. So basically, we have around 15 research centers, what we used to call an industrial cluster, that are creating amazing research in terms of ocean protection. The problem, as you all know, is commercializations of these solutions, and that's where that's where we intervene. So basically, our role is to bring all of these research centers to be more collaborative and have more synergies working together. And we also need to convince these researchers that building a tech startup is really exciting, and we need to show them how to do it. So we're working with the Canada Supercluster. I will send you the link for the presentation afterwards. I encourage you to check their website as well. They have a really cool video that explains everything that has to do with the blue economy, and they are massively funded by the Canadian government. So basically, if you are interested by the blue economy, you should definitely talk to them as well. We're also maybe a bit closer to your home. We're working with ASBAN, which is a group that regroups all of the EU ports. They have a highly collaborative approach, and they are building open innovation challenges to link startup solutions to EU ports. If you don't know them and you're developing blue tech technologies, I would definitely recommend that you reach out to them as well. And in Canada, we're trying to repeat this on a smaller scale. We're trying to bring all of the Canadian ports together and develop an open innovation challenge to accelerate the growth of these new technologies. We're working with different associations as well that are committed to biodiversity. One that I would outline that you should definitely check out is Green Wave. They're offering online programs to show how to grow algae farms. So it's a whole movement that started in the United States, but it's growing really fast, and we're seeing a lot of cool startups emerging from this initiative. Obviously, to have a cluster, we need a university. We have UQAR, which is worldwide renowned for their science, ocean-related science research. It is a bit of a different culture, as you know, and we are learning how to work together, but they're starting to understand the value of having a pipeline of projects, and yeah, it's a process, but there's a lot of value in working with such an institution. We also have other technological transfer centers that are into doing like highly specialized engineering and biotech research. We're working closely with them to build the pipeline. So basically, they're at the beginning of the funnel. They're really the experts on the tech side, but what they're lacking is the business component. So that's where we intervene, and we have different. I mean, I'm not gonna go in depth because you're all very well versed in this in this continuum, but we really start at the beginning where this researcher is, and we try to connect them to the right programs to make them grow as fast as possible. So this is the accelerator program, the accelerator that's called Floats. We're part of the Global Accelerator Network, the GAN network. We're going to launch a marine fund that is funded mostly by the government, but we'll be taking a little bit of equity. And the idea is hopefully we're able to also bring other VCs on board that are committed to climate, but that are not really familiar with the blue economy. So I will invite you to check out our social media. We're trying to educate on what the blue economy is, but also to showcase like tangible solutions. We see a lot of apathy from the next generations. They see a lot of bad press about the oceans, but we want to show them that there are a lot of beautiful solutions that are emerging right now. We're working with a North American magazine to kind of tell a different story about fishing and showcasing young up and coming startup projects that are doing really cool things in the sector, kind of to change the perspective on things. I won't go through all of the projects, but these are the 5 scale up that we're working on with right now. The most prominent is Well Seeker. I would encourage you to go see what they're doing. They're using AI to find whales and to avoid collision with ships. So it's a big industry, it's a big market, and right now they're doing their first round of funding. They're looking for 3 million in funding. And lastly, we have this program called eScale. I brushed on it a little bit earlier. It's kind of similar to what ASBAN is doing. So basically, we'll be gathering a few ports in Canada, and we'll be launching a challenge, an open innovation challenge with them. We're working with this firm based in Portugal called Beta I. They have launched the project for ASBAN, and now they're helping us launch the project in Canada. So yeah, basically what I've learned in the past year is that research centers have a very different DNA, and they're not used to work together. And our job is to basically break these silos and make sure that the highest technology actually reaches the market. And it's really an exciting time in that field. We're seeing some fund emerging. Usually, it's a bit different in the blue tech, in the sense that we see high commitments from governments first, and then we see capital funding emerge. That's the case in Portugal. We see that happening in the United States as well, and hopefully it's going to happen in Canada soon. Voila. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Amelie. So now this is the time to introduce you to our second keynote speaker, Timo Karakashev. He is the founder and the CEO of Cosmonauts. He is as well the CEO of Becama and the director of the Ruri Datum. Before launching Cosmonauts, he was the head of the business development for EverH IT, and one of the world's top 3 intangible assets commercialization advisory firms. He has served as an advisor to many tech startups in the UK and as well in Europe. He has a good awareness and knowledge of the competitiveness, the investment landscape, which has provided invaluable for his clients, resulting in successful capital raises and international business expansion. Timo holds a major in politics from the Queen Mary University of London, where he's currently a mentor in both of the schools of law, and the other one is for business and management. So Timo, the microphone is yours. When you will finish, I will introduce the other panelists to the audience, okay?
Thank you, Maria. Well, I haven't prepared as well as Emily, and I do not have a presentation, but I will be happily telling you about what we do and a little more about how we see the world. I founded Cosmonauts back in late 2016 with the idea of supporting high-purpose, high-growth verticals with their commercial growth. We, as an organization, deeply care about the verticals that we work in. Those verticals are environmental tech, agri-tech, space technology, legal innovation, and we're also looking to expand into the GovTech or government innovation sectors and EdTech in the coming year. While we care, we have to assume that in our world, a project that is not commercially viable is a project that's not viable at all. 9 out of 10 deep tech startups and overall tech startups fail for one single reason, their failure to commercialize. And the reason for that is that most of those companies are founded by very good technologists, people that have an extreme understanding in the tech behind the project. And they come in that world with the understanding that if they build the best product in class, everyone's going to come buy it and use it. And that's what will happen in an ideal world, but not in our world, unfortunately. So all of their effort and money go into building that perfect piece of tech. And by the time the things have come to a point of a commercialization initiative on their side, the money have usually are not enough to even start that journey, and as such, they struggle to secure their following funding round. So we help companies start that journey earlier. We support organizations from business development strategy perspective, but also from business development strategy implementation perspective. So we don't just put the plan in place, we execute the plan together with those people. We put our sleeves up and we work alongside with them, ensuring that they're able to acquire customers, ensuring that they're targeting the right markets with the right tools. So we provide market research services and market sizing services, where we go and we identify the right groups in the right countries for go-to-market approach. And last but not least, we help companies with investment sourcing and investment acquisition. We're not we're not a middleman. We're not a fund. What we do is find corporate investors or high net worth individuals within the sectors that our customers operate in, and we attract their attention and we bring that investment opportunity to their attention. Why have we chosen to go to corporate investors and high net worth individuals from those very sectors? Is it has to do with the fact that we feel that people from the sector will mostly understand the benefit and will mostly understand the value of such new technology coming to the world. And also those people can bring that peripheral business development benefit to that project. So it's not just about the money, right? It's about what else those groups can come with to support that project, whether it's going to be with client circles that they can introduce to that project, whether it could be with expertise. We look for the money plus element when we're looking for investment for our customers. We have been doing that for the best part of the last 18 months. Investment wasn't something that we started with. In fact, a big part of our business pre-COVID was also running conferences. So we currently have 10 conferences on our portfolio. They're all in-person conferences. They take place in London, in Dublin, in New York, in San Francisco, and in Singapore. They're in those very areas that I've stated earlier: legal tech, intellectual property, agri-tech, environmental tech, space tech. It's a big area of what we cover. We have a conference coming up at the end of April for which we partner with the Science and Technologies Facilities Council here in the UK. And we're hosted at Harwell campus, which is the largest tech campus in the UK, specializing in deep tech technologies, and it's also the largest space technology park in the whole of Europe. Similar to this meeting today, we feel that conferences are extremely important in the equation of putting the right people in the same space. People work with people, people by people. It's a good opportunity for us to be getting everyone in the right place, discussing the right ideas, and moving forward in the right commercial direction. So why do we do this? We feel that if that commercial journey is started at the point of infancy, as that technology journey started, that failure ratio will dramatically drop. I completely find it obscene that there's so much wasted capital on the back of those 9 out of 10 companies failing like all the time. So that's wasted effort on the side of the founders. That's wasted money on the side of the investors. And in reality, that percentage can be dropped if the right attention is being given to those startups. We do have a small investment arm as well. So we have a portfolio of a couple of companies where we put some of our money forward, but we also put sweat, essentially joining that company's journey and working together with the founders for a period of 2 years, essentially accelerating and putting in place both their investment vehicle and their business development and marketing vehicle. While they care for the tech and focus on the tech, they focus on what they're good at. And then at the same time, obviously, we build those internal teams in those companies as well. So that's in a nutshell our mission. I think that what's really key is that a lot of us who care spend a lot of time focusing on trying to make others care too, as opposed to focusing on how we can make a project sustainable from a commercial perspective. Unfortunately, this is still a very key part of our society. If a project is not commercially sustainable, a project can't be. And we cannot be relying on government funding indefinitely. Like, in fact, I always have felt, and a lot of investors would feel, that any project that has relied on a government funding for far too long, it's not a sustainable economic project. And in fact, for anyone out there innovating, try to break that chain as soon as you can. Try to break that grant and government funding chain as soon as you can, because no investor will touch you if you don't do that. You should be focusing on the next step of making your project commercially sustainable and finding your next customer, as opposed to finding your next grant. And I think that this is something that we should be focusing on as a commercialization community, working with those technologists, working with those academics who are brilliant in their fields. They're brilliant in R&D, but unfortunately they suck in business. And
Dear Timo, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but please keep some information for the panel discussion, okay? And we're arriving to the end of this speech.
All right, and that's all for me. I mean, like, listen, like, I think that you guys got what we are like about. So I look forward to the panel. I'm sure that it will be a spicy one. Let's go for it.
Thank you, Timo. So now I will introduce our panelists. Please welcome John Paul. He's the contributor and said differently, a core creator of Better Futures, leveraging digital data and tech and entrepreneurship to enable local sustainable development. He grew up in France before embracing a more nomadic way of living to discover nature and communities where they are and identify potential solutions for local challenges. From the beginning, he loved to apply data science to the different use of cases and industries, but was lacking some social and environmental impact in his professional activity. With an aim to support their organizations having less digital capacities, but a greater impact while empowering less privileged communities, he created DataFeed. Moreover, he created the Glock Aquilia to build a new ecosystem, nurturing and rewarding impact locally. So, Joan, I will give you just a few seconds to say hello to the audience and then introduce Elena, okay?
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's already a very good introduction, so not much things to add on that, but really on the global approach, I think we already live in the same planet. We have different challenges in where we belong or where we stay at, but we have only few oceans that are connected, a few ecosystems that are all connected. We saw that with COVID. We see that with many disasters around the globe. So we need to focus on local solutions for local challenges, empowering even better the local communities to solve them, and try to have a more democratic way on doing it. So sharing new ways of building together, leveraging technology, entrepreneurship, and all the support that we can have around.
Thank you, Joan. Now, please let me introduce you to Elena Salamandic. She is a partner at Catalyst Ventures, a startup accelerator and founder of triple top line startups aiming to have a positive impact on people, planet, and profit. Elena, a communication expert with more than 7 years of experience in business-to-business marketing and communication, project management, sustainability advisory as well. She is very passionate about the consumer behavior, cognitive decision making, and their application in the sustainability transformation. Elena, again, just a few seconds to say hello so that we can start the panel, okay?
Hi everyone, and I feel like I'm in really good company today here, and looking forward to the questions during the panel, and yeah, telling you more about what we do and the approach we have with working with startups. Thanks.
Thank you, Elena. So after this amazing brief introduction of our panelists, let's start the panel. So the first question to each one of you will be, which one is more important, profit or a better world? And how can business become more profitable by being sustainable?
If I could take this one first, Maria, thank you. And yeah, it might sound cliche when saying this, because we're all in this ecosystem. So obviously we're all working towards creating a better world. But we do believe that it's important both to create a better world, but also to be profitable. So that's kind of circling back to what Timo was saying, that startups do have to have a path to profitability, and they do have to learn how to be financially sustainable over time if they want to have that impact in the long term, right? So this is what we call a triple top line approach to business. And we all have heard about triple bottom line, where you also look at people, planet, and profit. But that one is a little bit more related to how to minimize the impact that we have on the environment and people, to kind of mitigate that negative effect that we have with our business operations and so on. And what we try to encourage startups to do is to have that positive impact hat on from the very beginning of designing their business, so that they can think how to create a product that not only creates profits and brings more revenues, but also has creates value in different ways for the planet and the people. So we have actually one example in our portfolio, which is called Tingly. It's a experience gift company, and they're selling like safari in Africa or bungee jumping in Bali and so on. And all of these experiences obviously have a footprint. They obviously have an environmental impact and an impact on the people locally and so on. So when we started working together with them, they tried to integrate this triple top line thinking in their business model. So right now, with every gift that they sell, they are offsetting 200% of their carbon footprint. They are removing plastic from the ocean by creating that partnership with plastic banks. So nurturing those partnerships that create value as well. So in the end, what happens is that while they are creating impact, that is also opening them opportunities to increase their revenues, to tackle new customer segments, to expand to new markets, and so on. So it really, what it is about is finding ways how to combine all of the 3 Ps, people, planet, and profit, and to create value on all fronts, treating them equally, instead of kind of thinking black and white, it's either profit or a better world. Really, it's creating both at the same time.
Thank you, Lena.
I may add something. That's great, Alina. I think we're really aligned here. I think we need to shift the narrative around the world's sustainability and sustainable. I think for a lot of people, whenever we're talking about generating impact, then we're being categorized in this social impact kind of cute project that you're building. And that needs to change, because a lot of these companies are actually creating tremendous values, like the example Elena gave. And in terms also, I think we need to change the rhythm of how we perceive growth and ROI. A lot of companies like Timo was talking about in deep tech have a different cycle of growth and a different pace, and they will generate a lot of amazing revenues, but not on the timeline of a usual tech company that is actually building a software. It's just not the same recipe. And we need to acknowledge that, and we need to understand those different variety of business models that are out there. But they are capable of generating a lot of revenues, just not on the same timeline.
And yeah, maybe one thing that was missing on that is also like the part of the consumers and your clients. The guys are just asking you to do more. So right now, just be a brand that is not including any sustainability angle. It's not working. Even your government is asking you to have some. Why? Because we need it at some point. We have planet boundaries. But as we say, commercialization is kind of first. So if you're, in a sense, if your clients are asking you to be more sustainable, you will have to. That's what you see as a big trend right now on many things. You need the profit one, also to show what is your impact. And we live right now in an extraction economy, so we are taking a lot, and we are not, in a sense, regenerating our systems. So that's where we have this sustainability angle. But if we can have an action that is leveraging profits to achieve a greater impact, we will just reach the perfect point on using money to achieve greater good for the society, answering the client's needs, customer needs, and thriving together. So that is clearly a direction for everyone. And you will have support to do that, as we had like energy transition for personal housing. You will have the same for businesses and so on, because it's a need, we see it. So it's not even profit or better world, it will be both together, at least because customers are asking you that, or because you want really to have your part on a bigger change, and you will be proactive on that.
I mean, to like echo what Elena said, like one shouldn't exclude the other. In fact, I would say that one is a necessity of the other, and one originates of the other. And you can put your fingers to which one comes first. I mean, I think that on the overall, like, we should give our society some credit. You know, we have achieved some tremendously good things over the last 150 years. You know, if you're alive 150 years and beyond, like you lived in a horrible world. Like you probably wouldn't have lived like before you turned 40. Your parents would have been like dead by that point, and probably half of your kids like would have been dead. So you know, we have to not forget that, you know, our current like state of society has achieved some great things, and the fact that we're looking how to do better, it's an important part of who we are. Having said that, as I kind of mentioned earlier, I think that our focus should be as to how we make those exercises viable from an overall perspective, from a commercialization perspective, from a delivery perspective, from adoption perspective as well. And I think that a lot of people on our side of the fence, people that kind of look at the problems and try to think hard about how we can solve them, come from the perspective that, you know, everyone should care as much as we do. But the fact is that we have to accept the reality that half of the people don't care and the other half can afford to care. And while we have the means to pay attention and to drive change on our side of the world, which is very much the developed world, we have to remember that on a global perspective, most countries can afford to have that sustainability journey yet. You know, they're 20, 30 years behind us. You know, Emily is in Mexico right now. A lot of countries like in Asia don't care where their protein comes from. All they care about is that they have protein. And that's where we were like years back. So we have to ensure that while we're delivering those projects are sustainable from an economic and delivery perspective, as they are from environmental perspective. And the more we pay focus on that, the greater good we're going to deliver across the globe. So like as you said, you know, companies are now put on the spot and they have to go and do the right thing. Otherwise, you know, they may be losing customers. You know, they have to go and push through a box ticking exercise, which I'm sorry, but like half of the time, it's a box ticking exercise. If you go and you look deeper into what's actually happening, things haven't changed dramatically, right? It's OPR. So while we push people to care and while society push those companies to care, unless we have that sustainable innovation to deliver that change, unfortunately, like that change will fall short of its promise.
Thank you, Timo. Now, I would like to ask you, how can startups quickly develop a solution and test the market? What role do accelerators play?
I think that sorry for jumping first, but I think that any startup that's developing something great should get it out there as soon as they can. I think that you shouldn't be shy of you know, getting it in people's hands. Of course, like as long as it's a solution that hasn't got a traumatic like health impact, right? Like if you're someone like Theranos, you know, you don't want to like put your blood testing kit like out too early. We all know what happened with that. But if you have a solution that, you know, can fail and it's not going to have a dramatic health impact or overall impact on anyone, get it out there, get people to use it as soon as you can. Don't be precious about it. You know, no one is expecting you to have you know, a finished product. You're a startup. You're not a big established companies. Like, you know, people will be more lenient with you. Failure is important as part of that journey. So the sooner you become accustomed to failure, the better you will do in your startup journey.
Yeah, and I would add, be curious. I think one value accelerators can provide is that we're working hand in hand with the industries, especially if it's niche industries, like in the blue economy sectors, it's really hard to just hop on a boat with fishermen and understand what they're looking for. But through the accelerators, we can actually make that happen. And where we see the most success is when those kids out of the university, or sometimes not even out of universities, are actually asking the questions and curious enough to actually spend the summer with those fishermen and understand what's wrong and how they can make their lives better. And the traction is there instantly, because they're basically building a product that's catering to their need. It's not just an idea that they have that's flowing. It's there, it's tangible. And most of the companies that are actually growing really fast right now in that sector have been working hand in hand with their key clients.
I'd like maybe to just also add and mirror what Amelie is saying, to connect to the industry players, right? A really effective model that we noticed really works when we organized the first batch of rocket-backed accelerator, now is the second one launched, is building partnerships with corporate partners really works. Because when you are early stage startup and you are solving some sort of sustainability challenge, these are very complex, and you need to, the best you can do is to find a client fast. So this is the benefit that accelerators provide, right? Especially in our market, because it's so small and interconnected. What we do is matching startups with corporate partners to solve a particular sustainability challenge that the corporate has. So, for example, one startup that we have in our portfolio from the previous batch called Earthbank, they're offering a carbon management software solution for B2B clients, and they were paired with Swedbank, which is the leading regional bank. And what they did is, well, Swedbank had the push from regulations to around carbon management, and they had to take care of the carbon footprint of their clients, of their investments, and so on. And this is what the startup was developing. So during that match, during a kind of like in a controlled, semi-controlled environment over a period of time, help them to work together to test a solution, to test with a real client, to go into a new market, and so on and so forth, and to also tap into the network that the corporate has as well. So really, it's about leveraging all of these resources that accelerators have, and that's the huge networks that they have. So startups, corporates, investors, sustainability experts, partners, governmental institutions, and so on. All of these are interconnected when you join an accelerator. So right now we have a sustainable innovators community which connects all of these players in this ecosystem. And what it happens is that you are able to connect faster, to catalyze some new relationships faster, and because we're in a small market, relatively small market, you're able to kind of come up with these solutions pretty quickly and test the market really quickly, and then just go out in the world, basically.
Thank you, Elena. John, I don't know if you would like to add anything else to this point.
No, I think the main point is really to get out. I fully agree, and to build with your customers in many ways, because you can build with them, having them implied in the way you build things. So if you're already working with the corporate directly, or even use them to test very quickly the thing, so you will iterate a lot, and being on the market, it's what is helping you to do that. If you stay in your lab for 5 years, you don't have this interaction, so you can build the best thing ever. That is for your lab, it's not for the market. So something that is good is really to have those connections through the ecosystems. Incubators, accelerators are helping, and very often specialize in what you're looking for. So that's definitely the way. So collaboration and, in a sense, this kind of co-creation approach with your customers and partners.
Thank you. Now, I would like to ask you, from your point of view, considering that each one of you is from a different country, okay? So what are the clean tech trends that you can see so far? And how is the local startup ecosystem portable for emerging startups? Please,
I can speak for the Baltics here, for Lithuania, but also for the Baltics. The impact in investing in general is growing, especially over the past years. A lot of investors are starting to look at startups that solve sustainability challenges, either clean tech, agri-tech, AI, and so on. So what they're looking for is, obviously they're curious to see the impact, and they're curious to see how that impact can also be measured. So metrics around impact are really important, but they're also looking to invest in a good business, right? Like, no one wants to invest just for the sake of investing in a cause. I mean, if you're an investor, you obviously will look at a clear path to growth or profitability. So let's say maybe in clean tech, profitability can come later down the road, especially with quite big capital needed upfront if you're developing hardware or something like that. But yeah, it's still you have to show a path to growth, at least, to see how you plan to be a good business later down the road. And yeah, it's a growing market. Everyone is interconnected. So that's really what's beautiful about it, is that when startups are approaching us, we're able to connect them to investors, but also to the Ministry of Environment or the Ministry of Energy, or different accelerators or largest companies in the region. So this is what really helps to accelerate that. I would also add that we cannot really kind of avoid the topic of the recent events that are happening in the region currently, and they are really putting the pressure on energy independence for Europe in general. And the Baltics, because it's such a small market, it's sort of like a sandbox. They are really in the position to develop solutions quickly. So this is another kind of push that we have from the geopolitical perspective as well. Yeah, that's about the Baltic, I would say.
Marie, can you repeat the question? Like I kind of didn't hear it.
What, Timo? Sorry.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes.
Oh.
What are the clean tech trends in your local reality? I mean, because one of you is coming from a different country, you have been working with different countries. So from your perspective and from your experience, which are those clean tech trends? But more than that is, how is the local startup ecosystem comparable for the emerging startups?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm based in the UK, and UK is a fairly favorable place for technology startups across the board. Anyway, regardless as in what discipline they are, there are a lot of tax incentives that are there to support both entrepreneurs as well as investors. There's the SEIS, EIS initiative here in the UK, which is essentially gets 30% of your investment from the outset straight tax deductible, and then another 30% deductible if the project fails. So there are a lot of there are a lot of mechanisms like put in place. Obviously, there are R&D tax grants, which is something that's common for a lot of developed countries. I know that in Canada, for instance, they have that system quite well established too. From an environmental tech perspective, I mean, in clean tech perspective, I mean, like, listen, like, energy is obviously the focus, right? I mean, like, we figured over the last month and a half how dependent we are on outside and energy supply. And when I say outside, I mean outside of Europe, really. So energy's got a big focus. Obviously, anything around agri-tech and sustainable agriculture, it's of high focus as well. There are a lot of initiatives, like Barclays is running legal labs which are focused on agri-tech. Obviously, the agri sector, it's of high importance. I mean, whatever happens, we gotta eat, right? So at the end of the day, it's a sector that has been always supported heavily within the European Union. In fact, is the largest sector of spend for the European Union governance. So a lot is happening, and I think that if you are in the environmental tech sector these days, like you're in a very good spot. You see, like last year, about 14% of all global investment went into environmental tech. Like the levels are almost like even as to where fintech was about 5 years ago. And the fact is that is happening because people are scared. You see, like the last 2 years of uncertainty, like may have actually done us wonders in the long term. I think a lot of people have woken up to understand that, our reality is actually very fragile, and things can go batshit crazy, like in a very, very short period of time. And I think that we have been turning our heads away from the problem for long enough. And I think that the last 2 years have finally landed that epiphany that we can't be looking towards the other way any longer, and we have to start paying attention. Otherwise, it's not going to be just a future generations problem, it's going to be our problem. I think that we're now finally beyond the belief that this is someone else's problem. It's not my problem, and it's not my children's problem, and therefore I don't care. But we are now finally under that pressure to do something, and for that there is a lot of innovation happening. And now with that innovation happening, there is a lot of money flowing into that sector, because on the investor side there is that fear of missing out. What's going to be the next big thing coming up over the next 10 years? And I've recently read a report that was co-authored by Bill Gates, stating that from now until 2030, there will be 10 companies in the environmental tech sector of the size of Amazon. That's fucking insane. You're talking about one of the largest corporations in the world, and we're talking about the creation of 10 of those from an economic perspective, just in that very sector. So naturally, people are interested and people are looking at the sector, because now it's not just an exciting sector, it's a high necessity sector for us. We got to invest, and not just the public sector should be investing. The private sector is investing. So you're in a good place if you're innovating within the environmental tech place right now. You're in a good place because your sector is trending. You are in a good spot to go and exploit that opportunity right now, and you have to exploit that opportunity until it's in its infancy. Because actually most of the people that are putting that money forward at this very minute haven't got a fucking clue as to what they're putting their money against. But that will change in the next 5 years, right? As with like any other sector, the more awareness there is, the more investor awareness there is, the only like very, very good projects will be able to raise money. Right now, anyone can raise money. So yeah, go for it, do it, push forward, break things, make shit happen.
And
Timo,
I would
just to
sorry.
Go ahead, Anna.
Well, I was just I wanted to add a little bit on what Timo was saying. I think there is a shift happening. It's not happening fast enough, but it is happening. And I think Cleantech used to be solely hardware. There was a lot of engineering, and it was one category in itself. And what we're seeing happening right now is a lot of people with a background in crypto or blockchain or AI who have been building different products and who are maybe saturated or kind of bored with what they've been doing so far, and they feel compelled to jump in. And that's where it's getting really exciting, when you have these new talents, these new understanding of how to manage data, tap into hard, heavy historical industries, and that's where you can actually create the most values. So do do look at those industries that are, maybe you are considering dinosaurs, because that's where you can actually reinvent things with the knowledge that you have right now.
Because they have the money, right? I mean, like, you know, those are the people that still have the money, and they have been bulking that bank for like many years. So they will be interested in surviving. You know, those dinosaurs don't want to die out. You know, they understand the need to change, and they have the required capital to change, but they don't have the ingenuity and the innovation that startups in the system have. So don't be scared of those big corporations. You know, with the right approach, they can be very helpful, and they can also pave that road and that path to market much quicker than you would do on your own. You know, they spend tens and hundreds of years sometimes by building that market.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Timo was saying about well, clean tech and environmental tech previously didn't get so much attention, but it does now, because people start to see how interconnected all the sectors are and how interconnected all these challenges are. So now we have a very evident shock, right, to the system with the events for the past month, and it's clear how energy independence is not something that, oh, it would be nice to have by 2050. No, we have to have it now. So bringing that urgency now, make it more visible, more tangible. People start to care because it's not far away anymore. It's a matter of national security, international security, and so on. So kind of seeing those, how clean tech is interconnected to actually solve these issues much faster and now is really, I think, what is going to accelerate both the energy independence, but also a lot of other solutions as well.
Yeah, you're talking about energy, but we can also talk about water preservation. And there are a lot of industrials who are really interested. They have a lot of appetite for saving water, for optimizing their use of water, and for providing clean water. It's becoming a topic that is the population is expecting the industry to act on it, and it's just make good business sense for them to do so as well.
I think waste management overall is probably one of the topics that we didn't discuss. Closing the circular loop on what we have been using in different ways, industrial ways, and so on. And just to add on maybe an Asian point of view, of course, we have China that is investing very heavily on electrical approaches and so on, on the energy side. But every country is looking for sovereignty in energy, food, and that's something that is massive. In Singapore, for example, where I was mostly based of investment in vertical farming for efficient ways, short circuits, and so on, because it's a different all.
We are losing you a bit. We cannot hear you well. So maybe what we can try to do is that you can turn off your camera and let's see if maybe it will get better. Your camera, but you can continue speaking.
Yeah. So just quickly, it just like I don't know. I think it's global. So that's something that's you cannot limit to. Countries are growing very fast.
Thank you, John. Now I can see John. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We cannot hear you well.
Yeah, I can. Well, no, go ahead.
With the connection. Okay. I want to read to you some of the questions that we have from the audience. For example, Ralph is saying that there are many programs, grants, and subsidies for the higher technical readiness levels. On the lower levels, there seems to be less. So, do you have any kind of advice to try to find those funding opportunities?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Ralph is saying that there are many programs, grants, and subsidies for the higher technical readiness levels, but for the lower levels, there are not that many opportunities. So what he's trying to understand is how, if you have any advice to find.
Ralph, I have a very simple advice. Try to find people with money that get what you're trying to build. Right. So, if you go to a VC or if you go to an angel group, it's very likely that they haven't got a clue about the area of innovation that you have placed yourself in, and they wouldn't have a clue as to when exactly this would be a viable investment for them. So I think, ditch the grants, ditch the government support, because you're right, at an infancy level, at an idea stage, they don't care. Like they won't give you the grants because their bureaucracy doesn't work in that way. They don't back ideas, they back projects. So find people within your sector, look for people that can give you that private funding, and really, like, on the back of their money. I'm not even talking about ask for their company's money. So that's probably the easiest. And listen, when I say easiest, it's still very, very hard, right? Getting like someone to like believe in your idea at this infancy, it's a very, very hard thing. Like I always tell entrepreneurs, whenever they start looking for funding, you got to ditch everything else for a good amount of time. Like looking for money, it's just about full-time role on its own. So you can try to do that.
I would also say use the incubation programs, because whether it's, well, I think in North America you can find government funding or pre-seed funding, but you need a really good story. You need a good pitch. You need a good team. We're not going to invest just in an idea, but you need to make us dream with you. And if you're able to execute that really well, you will have no problem finding the money. But you do work. I would work with an incubator to solidify this narrative and make your story really, really, really compelling. We're working with a startup who was in AI before, and they want to start an algae farm, and the revenues are really promising. They're at the very beginning. They don't even have the infrastructures yet, but they do have VC funds that are super interested in what he's doing, because he was able to sell his story really well.
Thank you. Now I would like to ask you how to pitch Cleantech to investors.
I'd say manage expectations from the get-go. If you have a pragmatic approach and you build a business case and you're aware of the risks and you're aware that the scaling model is not as fast as other vectors, you need to educate your VCs on this, and you need to show that you know your industry really well and that you know how you're going to how and when you're going to be able to capitalize on your investment. Also, if you're able to from the get-go give them an exit strategy and a clarity on the scenario of what you're looking for in terms of commitment. Yeah, the more clarity, the better. It's going to bring a lot of certainty to potential investors.
I would add on top of that, you're trying to pitch a real problem to a real audience, right? And this is what investors ultimately are looking for. They're looking for a real solution that is not just a vitamin, like a nice to have, but it's actually like a painkiller. So solving a real problem for a real audience. And when we're talking in the context of Cleantech, obviously there are so many different challenges and all of them are different. You're talking about carbon capture, for example, or energy, renewables, and so on. They're all different and they affect a lot of different stakeholders. but you have to choose a specific stakeholder or a specific audience that you're solving this problem for, and just go for it. So tell basically the investor who's going to pay for your product, right? Because this shows that you have a plan on how to become later on profitable as well. And when we talk about any kind of impact venture, cleantech, agri-tech, whatever, we still have to show the link to the business objectives, right? How is your solution going to either increase customer satisfaction, increase profitability, or reduce costs, and increase employee engagement, for example. So really showing that benefit strategically to the business as well is quite important. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as always, you cannot be an impact startup for long if you don't have a good business. So focus on building a good business. That's crucial as well.
I would say very briefly to add to this, when you pitch to investors, always think one round ahead of time. When you go and you present an opportunity at its infancy, it's very unlikely that you get one single investor or one single investment body to invest in that opportunity. They will usually come along with other investors. So give them the story as to how you're going to get to that follow-up round and actually execute on that story from A to Z. And trust me, they'll take the whole round next time around. And that story doesn't have to be a perfect story. You know, you don't have to be a profitable company between your seed and a round. However, if you go and do what you said you will do, they'll give you all the money on that more important A round stage. So be reasonable, be realistic, be truthful to your story, and people will back you if you've got a good product and a good business idea in place.
And maybe just to wrap up, I really like what you were saying earlier, Timo. Aim to corporates, and I love high net worth individuals. I think the landscape of investment is changing really quickly, especially in the clean tech sector. Pitching at conferences and making a big bang, and I'm not sure that's the right approach. It may be, but it may not be as well. So be creative in your approach, and target individuals that are aligned with your values and that are going to be able to see the worth in what you're bringing forward.
Thank you. Now, I can see that we're arriving to the end of the webinar. I know that we have a lot of things to discuss. There are many things that we must get deeper, but I would like to encourage our audience to get in touch with other speakers. They will be happy to provide you more information, advices, and understand how they can help you to take the potential of your company and your ideas even further. So please do that. Otherwise, you can reach me and I will be happy to connect you, okay? But before finishing this webinar, I would like to ask you all, which one would be the secret for success, in your opinion, for all those entrepreneurs and business owners that are listening to us today? What is which one is that the key of success?
Serendipity. Being at the right place at the right time and making the most of it.
I think network will be the best. It will always help you to so network with your clients or anyone around you will help.
And I'd say also know your strength, focus on that, and go get help for anything else. You need to surround yourself with the right people, and that's going to solidify your project, and that's going to show that you're not alone in this journey.
And I would add to be really clear on your why and why are you doing what you're doing. So kind of circling back to Simon Sinek's golden circle, where you first think of your why are you creating this company, what are you trying to solve, then you think of your how are you going to do it, and then you think of your what, which is the end product that you're providing. But really be clear on why you're doing what you're doing. I think that's really a guiding point at any stage of your journey, of your startup journey.
And one last thing to add to Elena's, think of the who as well, because at the end of the day, you can hold all the burden on your shoulders. You know, that's what we do. We do things together, right? Like, that's what makes humans who we are.
And I would finish with something my mentor says a lot: do other things. I've never seen founders who are successful who are working 100 hours a week doing nothing else but that. You need to make space to think about other things, to get your creativity flowing, and find balance in your life.
Thank you, Emily. Now, I would like to give the microphone to Benedict Cruz. He is part of Cleantech, and he has been working so far with us to take those opportunities, business opportunities, to a higher level. But more than that, he has been working so far to help us to create this big impact in today's reality. So Benedict, I will give you the microphone now so that you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you're here.
Yes, Maria, thank you very much, and thank you very much for your kind words and for having me. My name is Benedict Cruz, and I'm Vice President of the European Senate of Economy and Technology, and on behalf of EU Tech and the European Senate, I'm happy to present a little gift for you, for our panelists. As you might have heard at the beginning of this webinar, we are one of the world's leading tech network, EU Tech Network, united by this vision: technology obliges. And we started in Europe in 2050 to unite European enterprises behind this vision: technology obliges, and to help them to reach our three major goals. You remember: competitiveness, growth, and sustainability. That's EU Tech. And the Senate of Economy and Technology is like an exclusive advisory board of this network. It's with the CEOs and owners of large companies. So it's a different level. That's what Maria said before. It's like based on the old principles of the Roman Senate, for example. Yeah, it brings together leaders from economy, from science, and from politics to advise how to make the best use of technology. As you can imagine, you see here the tree certificates. As you can imagine, climate protection. Yeah, we're in an environment alliance. It's not only one of the biggest goals of the United Nations, but also of us and our organization, EU Tech and European Senate. We are very active. We have an own climate action partnership, as some of you know. And I would like to thank you, dear panelists, you three, on behalf of the EU Tech, you four, I'm sorry, of EU Tech and also of the Presidium of the European Senate in Brussels, for your contribution to today's event. We really, really appreciate that. Great panel. And here we are. 3 certificates here with the European Technology Chamber confirms that 1 tree for Timo, 1 tree for Johan, 1 tree for Elena, and last but not least, 1 tree for Emily have been planted in Africa by EU Tech Climate Action Partnership. So again, we really appreciate this great panel. Thank you for your time. I think there were a lot of good points to discuss about further within EU Tech environment and of course European Senate environment. And now that was my short part. Thanks for being here again. Now, ladies and gentlemen, have a great time, and I think the honor of the last words belongs to you, Maria. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Benedict. So with this, I would like to thank the audience for being here today with us. I would like to thank to Amelie, to Johan, to Elena, to Timo for all those valuable insights. Again, I repeat, it's nice to have these conversations, but the idea is to understand how we can become those words into actions. And to do that, we need to join forces. We need to understand how we can cooperate. So I really encourage that. Please get in touch to each one. I'm sure that there are many things that we can do together, and keep in touch with the chamber, because we're going to continue doing these digital talks. For example, next week, we're going to have a networking group meeting, and all of you can come here and can have this direct interaction with today's panelists, of course, if they are available. So I will send you the invite. Thank you so much and have a great weekend. And remember, technology obliges. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Nice weekend.
Have a good day. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.